And we all know that the new curricula for the next academic year for at least basic and junior high school education has been introduced. And alongside, we're going to have the new physical look of the pupils in junior high school from September for the new academic year. Of course, there's been a lot of conversation around the new curricula for the subject. Now, particularly when it comes to the teaching of history, there's been pointers. And if you look at the curriculum that has been introduced for that section, there have been concerns about the omission, especially as far as the number of times that it rhymes based on what the outline of the curriculum is of Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. The concern that has been raised is that it seems to be in the curriculum, not necessarily the textbook, even though it will be the foundation by which we have the textbook written and compiled, the name of J.B. Dankwa appearing in the curriculum a number of times, 6 times at least. And if you take a look at it, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's name comes just once. It's a concern for social commentators, those who are well into education. But we also need to continue the education as well as the conversations around the curriculum. And what a better way than to have the chairman for the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition in the studio. They are great advocates for education, especially at that level in our country. Kofi Asare is here. Good morning to you. It's been a while, Kofi.
Good morning.
It's been years.
Good morning to you.
And generally, would want to ask what your main observations are with the newly introduced curricula for the coalition.
I think
introduced for the next year.
Yeah, the coalition has issued a statement in respect of the new curriculum. You know, there's a saying that an unexamined life is not worth living. And so as you travel the path of education development, periodically, you review your curriculum, and then you make sure that the curriculum is abreast with the, the demands of the new world order. And so having this in mind, as far back in 2008, during the education reform, President Kufuor promulgated the Education Act of 2008. And in that particular act, a certain body called the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment was legislated, set up by the previous government, and then also activated more or less in terms of the curriculum review function of that particular body. So the NACA was appreciated as a body to periodically review our curriculum to ensure that it is consistent with the needs of the global the global economy. And so reviewing our curriculum to ensure that it is consistent with the needs of education and then the global economy is just the right thing to do at this time. Yeah.
But if you look at the various sectional areas, and I know that you also had the opportunity to make observations for some of the subject or some of the sectional areas. Which were they?
Yeah, the coalition actually reviewed
almost
all the basic school curriculum. Yeah. And we made a couple of observations, and then we communicated it to the minister and then the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment. And then the juniors as well.
There's a question I've been curious to know. As a coalition, are you conflicted in any way because of your constant dealings with the ministry, the Ghana Education Service, because of where you find yourself, either advisory or observational, because of the sector in which you're operating?
No, not at all. You see, the coalition's role is quite a hybrid type, which we have come to accept. It is one, to work with government to ensure that the right education policies are developed and implemented, to improve the quality of pre-tertiary education in Ghana. At the same time, you're working with government, you're also expected to demand accountability or hold government accountable to implementing these right policies efficiently. So this dual role, it's not always easy, but we have come to accept that the fact that we sit with government around the table to discuss policy issues doesn't or shouldn't limit our ability to demand accountability from government. And so we've always married the two in a manner that obviously sometimes you find yourself on the wrong side of government's smile, because government might not be happy with some of your criticisms or your public resentment or expression of dissent to most of the policies. But then all in all, we don't have an option. Our role is simple: work with government, support government, and then also at the same time demand accountability from that same person.
We would want to focus on the curriculum that focuses more on the history of our country. And I noticed that it starts even from the early years of class 1. And just like the other related subjects, you notice that there's a certain shift of coming downwards in the age or in the ages of starting some of the subjects, whether it is French, move from GSS, then you come to Basic 4, where you start the learning. Just like also history now, also from class 1, you start learning some history as well. Usually, what's the mindset and the rationale for making such decisions?
From where I sit,
as the chairman for the...
for instance, the decision to prefer French to be a subject, as early as class 4 or primary 4, is obviously because the 3 years alone at the junior high school, wasn't enough, to achieve a certain proficiency in that language prior to BEC exam. And so bringing it to primary 4, obviously should tell you that the idea is that the child should start learning certain subjects like French and history much earlier than it was, under the previous curriculum. And I think that, as I mentioned earlier on in the discussion elsewhere, researchers went into determining the focus of the curriculum. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sure there was research data that suggested that if pupils are given an early orientation into certain subject areas like French and history at the primary level, it will enhance their appreciation and then of those subjects. And so I think that it is in the right direction. Yeah.
And following this, I've gone to look at the current state of the curricula that we have that is being that will be phased out by the close of the current academic year, for which the new one will be introduced. There's always the division in terms of what the content will be, in terms of what the standard teaching should be, what's the specific practices and things that need to be done in the classroom, and vis-a-vis how they will be represented in the textbooks. Is that always how we have to do the curricula in terms of the structure? What has to be in the textbook, how it has to be demonstrated or taught in the classroom, and then some of the names or the pointers that are given. Let's say if it's for science, maybe how you get to see the sun, or how maybe a magnet is used, or how also some other sort of implement is used in a scientific laboratory.
Yeah, let me say that I may not be a curriculum expert, but what I know is that the curriculum is the broad guide, and the direct consumer of that document is the teacher. So that's the broad guide, that's the broad, the superstructure with which the teacher consults in delivering their lesson. There's also the textbook. Now, the textbook is an offshoot of the curriculum, in the sense that you may have a textbook that prescribes some aspect of a curriculum, not entirely the entire curriculum. So you have one curriculum, but you may have several textbooks. And so perhaps one textbook might speak to about 50% of the content of a particular curriculum. And so, but more or less, the textbooks are offshoot of the curriculum, and they are aimed at making the implementation of the curriculum, i.e. in the teaching of the curriculum, easier for the teacher in terms of referencing and all that. And so for every curriculum, you will have a list of textbooks. And in the curriculum, you will be dictated to, the teacher, in terms of how you approach each subject area in the curriculum and also in the textbook. Yes, because that is more or less the implementation mechanism for the curriculum.
There's a criticism out there, especially when you take history, And if you go through the curriculum, and I've gone through, it's a 70-pager, so it's a bit long. Yeah. For example, if it's for basic 1 or class 1, as usually we'll call, they are supposed to use dramatized teaching to demonstrate. Yeah. You're supposed to use other forms, whether some, historical artifact and something. You have to bring it to the classroom for it to be used as a point of demonstration. And there's a concern that consistently, you take Basic 1, for example, even though that there's not been explicit mention of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, but there's been a mention of the students needing to learn or to get to know the number of presidents we have up to from 1960. Yeah. But there's a specific line item that indicates the role of Dr. J.B. Dankwa, for example, in the choosing of the name Ghana prior to the naming or the name that will be approved by Parliament and sent to England for approval. That should worry many people. It depends on which side of the political divide you come from, Nkrumahs and non-Nkrumahs.
Well, indeed, history, unfortunately, our history have been visited with some politics,
what you're saying, is it a position of the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition?
No, I'm explaining that.
Okay.
The government of Ghana has a position. There is a law, that recognizes that, for instance, Ghana wasn't founded by one person, but was founded by a group of persons, a group of people, right? We have Founders Day. We are all aware about the Founders Day and then all the hula baloo around founder apostrophe S and then founder with that apostrophe and all that. So we can't run away from the fact that there is a political, there is some element of politics in our history. And the politics is as a result of how various schools of thought view the role Nkrumah played in our independence. Okay. Now, this is a government textbook or a curriculum. And so you may expect that government's appreciation of our history will feed into the curriculum. Because the National Council for Curriculum Assessment is a government agency. And they are mandated to do this. The head is appointed by the minister, and then also the minister appointed by the president. And so the same was the junior director general appointed by the executive. I hope you're aware of that. And so I wasn't surprised when I saw the content there, but then it is also, as I mentioned, it is as a result of the seldom politicization of our history. Our history has not stabilized. There are various political accounts of our history, and that is why we are having this issue here. It shouldn't have been so, but then what I can say is that this curriculum is going to be implemented with respect to certain textbooks. We don't know what is going to be in the textbooks yet. You understand? I saw less of Nkrumah in there, it's true. I think only once or twice, yeah. But yes, only once.
I have seen it in terms of ink or prints and typing once. Yeah. But I have seen J.B. Dankwa in the mention.
Yeah.
But then I have also seen, and I have to be factual here, that, for example, there's a mention of explain how the name was changed from Gold Coast to Ghana. The English translation of the Portuguese name Costa da Mina to mean Gold Coast. And then you come to number 3, the role of Dr. J.B. Dankwa in linking the civilizations of the ancient Ghana Empire to the Akan of the forest region of Ghana. Yeah. Even though when you go in there, there's also discussed the role played by, it says, other individuals, and of course, I'm sure the UGCC and Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's name will be mentioned. We are also certain that the name of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah will come up when we're discussing the number of presidents we've had from 1960.
Yeah.
But if you particularly have, let's say, discussed the role of Dr. J.B. Dankwa, and I'm not sure Dr. J.B. Dankwa will be the only one who played
Yes,
that's troubling. You don't, as a campaign coalition, you don't think it's troubling?
The coalition hasn't got a position on this issue, but I can explain to you that, you see, there have been concerns raised in the past by many academics and historians from the J.B. Dankwa Buzia Dombo tradition, that in writing the history of Ghana, and of course we know that one of the repository of our history, or where our history is disseminated, is at the school level. The point has been made that the role J.B. Dankwa, especially, and others, but especially J.B. Dankwa played in our independence struggle has been underreported. That concern has always been raised by that political bloc, that the role that J.B. Dankwa played in our independence struggle has been underreported or underrepresented in our history, in the documentation of our history. And if you read the account of Professor Michael Quay and others, you realize that that has been an issue for them in times past. And so what I'm saying is that perhaps you are seeing more J.B. Dankwa because they are trying to bring out the role J.B. Dankwa played prior to independence, before Nkrumah even came into the scene. Because J.B. Dankwa's influence was mainly before Nkrumah came onto the scene. After Nkrumah came, then Nkrumah was now the leader, you know. And so I think that is why government is trying to bring out the role certain people played before Nkrumah was brought from London to lead in the struggle. Perhaps so. I don't think it should be an attempt to undermine or water down in any way the role Nkrumah played in the political struggle of Ghana. Everybody knows that Kwame Nkrumah was the first president of Ghana. But unfortunately, what is being disputed today is that was he the founder or they were founders? And then that has become politicized, you know. And as a coalition, we don't do politics, so we normally cannot have a position on that issue. We leave it to the politicians to discuss. And
I should add, though, that there's an inquiry note that says, who was Ghana's first president? And so the teacher is supposed, based on the instruction, to identify in picture who was Ghana's first president, who ruled Ghana also from 1960 as part of the continuation teaching demonstration in the classroom from 1960 to 2016. Even though the name of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah has not been mentioned, at least when they say who was Ghana's first president, you definitely get to know that it's Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And we have to make that indication known as well, because I know what the criticism has been out there. But we have on the line Professor Kwame Osei-Kwarteng. He's the chairman for the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment. And they're very instrumental in putting this together. Good morning to you, Professor Kwame Osei-Kwarteng.
Good morning.
Yeah.
It's Derek.
Okay, my name is Roland. Derek is the producer, so he definitely will make the call. But thank you for joining us. We would want to know the National Council for Curriculum and an Assessment. And I know that you are the main body that put together this, weren't you?
Yes.
What's the composition of the council?
Yeah, the line is not clear. Please.
Okay, we have to call you back. We have to call you back, sir, so that we establish that line very well. I think we need to get some education in there as well. Now you get to basic two.
Yeah.
And I've gone through all. So basic 2. There's a consistent and deliberate effort to make sure that we name outstanding women who have contributed to our history. So let me just also give you, for example, and I know this one is all going to be steeped in the political stereotyping and the conversation. There's the naming of the first female pilots, the squadron leader, Melody Dankwa. Of course, there's Zomelo Fiawo as well, the first female editor of a national newspaper, the Daily Graphic. It talks about Elizabeth Ohene. I know this one is not part of the conversation that has been raised on social media, but it's good that you brought this because we're looking at political traditions and their concept. And then we have the first female Speaker of Parliament and Joyce Bamford Addo, etc. And all these you're supposed to use, if you have it available, pictures and videos to do demonstration for the teachers, for the students in Basic 2 to know.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to also create a certain controversy if you look at the political traditions of some, because of their public utterances and writings as to where they belong to and when they belong. Elizabeth Ohene, for example, known to have served in the Kufuor administration. We all know her political views.
Yeah. But then, you know, how you should look at is the rationale behind that very topic. The rationale behind that topic is to, one, encourage the girls in that classroom to aspire to higher heights as they rise through the academic system and then grow up. They should aspire and have certain people they can look up to as they develop. And so, yes, Elizabeth Ohene may have a political color to her name. At the time, she was the editor of the Daily Graphic, or at the time she was being cited as being the first female editor of the Daily Graphic. She wasn't a politician. And so we look at Elizabeth Ohene in the context of the journalist then, and not in the context of a politician. Same for the Speaker of Parliament.
Yeah, true.
You know, the whole idea is that we are building a system where girls should see themselves as equal, if not better, than boys. And so bringing in a role model effect to help mentor some of these girls is always a good thing. But the context is what the teacher has to emphasize on. But the context is that we are looking at this woman in respect of her contribution to society, her contribution to the development of the country, and not in the context of her political lineage or her political views.
But we know that the internet has grown. A curious child can quickly go and look at Elizabeth Ohene and scroll down and get to know that, after all, she was a member of the NPP.
Yeah.
And ascribes to the Dankwa Buzia Dombo tradition.
But a curious child will not be that politically enlightened to be thinking beyond her achievements in public service. You know, and then wade into the political shaky waters that we are probably privy to. So at that level, let's maintain it at the point of focusing on their achievements in public service, and how those achievements can inspire the girls moving forward.
We're still speaking to Kofi Osei, and Kofi Osei works with the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition. He is the chairman. But let's speak to another chairman of another body. Professor Kwame Osei Kwarteng is the chairman for the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment. And they are the main reason why we're here. Good morning to you, Professor.
Yeah, good morning, Roland.
And it's good that you're speaking to me. I'm privileged. But you're the main body, and the main reason why we're having all discussions ongoing, either on social media or mainstream. Can you just give us, by way of education, the composition of the council, the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment?
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, the council is made up of 21 members. It's a 21-member body. We have the chairman, and then we have a representative from West African Examination Council. We have a representative from Pentecostal Council, a representative from Ghana Education Service, a representative from Ghana Muslim Mission, a representative from Carrick Bishop Secretariat, I've mentioned Christian Council, and then we have the executive secretary, and in some of these organizations or groups, the representatives are many. Then you also have a representative from
the Federation for Disabled.
Offhand, I will not be able to mention all of them, but I know that.
Do we have representatives from the Ghana Federation of the Disabled?
Ghana Publishers Association have a representative on it.
Okay.
And so, you know, we are 21.
All right.
But I cannot be able to mention all the organizations because they are many. And
Okay, now let's.
What I will say in effect is that we are 21 member council.
Okay, now let's just cut to the chase and quickly get onto the subject, because already we've been having a number of discussions generally on the curriculum and why the need, etc. But we've also noted, and as this was brought to our attention, you take the curriculum on history, and that is also from Basic 1, right?
Yeah.
Now,
you mean the history curriculum?
Yeah, exactly from Basic 1. The particular itemized mentions, and I know that the curriculum is not necessarily what the textbook is, but then it's a guide to how the demonstration and teaching has to be done, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when we have a mention like the students have to be taught the role played by Dr. J.B. Dankwa in the choosing of the name Ghana.
Yeah.
What was the rationale?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think a lot of people, or some people, not all Ghanaians, some people who have made comments about it or expressed concern about it, and some have even politicized the issue. But first and foremost, let me disabuse everybody's mind from the fact that we were not writing the history of, we didn't design the curriculum based on any political consideration. We designed the curriculum purely based on professional historical consideration. History, when you talk about history, is the study of the past, important past events that impacted on a society, politically, socially, economically, and culturally. If that event is relevant to the society, then that event becomes history. So, when you are writing history deals with date, period. It is also chronological, because period and date are virtually synonymous, because when you are talking about 1900, you start from 1901, 1902, and then you'll be moving on to the end of the century or something like that. So we were looking at the history of Ghana from the beginning of the geographical space called Ghana, which the Portuguese at a point in time called Gold Coast. So we look at how people came to live in that geographical space, the various people. Then we look at how it evolved over the years, chronologically, using dates to determine the beginning and then the terminal period. And then we came to, you do the pre-colonial, and then you come to the colonial period. And from the colonial period, you make it to the post-colonial or the independence era. And you all know that after the British had colonized us, there were various attempts by Ghanaians at various places to fight the colonial authority. Attempts aimed at liquidation of the colonial process.
Prof.
And since you are dealing with chronological issues, we had to we start from Aborigines, we came to National Congress of British West Africa, and then you come to independence post nationalist struggle post 1945. That is where the issue that you are talking about comes in. You are asking me, so I have to take my time to explain. Okay, what do you want to ask? So that I'll give you a chance and I go.
Prof. Okay,
yeah.
so I love it that you're educating us on this. But we're saying that the curriculum is the guide to instruction in the classroom. So if Dr. J.B. Dankwa's name, for example, is mentioned for the mode of instruction and demonstration for Basic 1 pupils when it comes to that part of the textbook and the curriculum in trying to demonstrate for the students, but there's no, if you look at the curriculum, there's no specific mention for Basic 1 pupils, for example, the name of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, even though there's a guideline for the teachers to know, to teach students who was Ghana's first president. We do agree that Ghana's first president is Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. But if you can mention or write it in the curricula, Dr. J.B. Dankwa, you might as well write Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Yeah, but you come to Dr. Kwame Nkrumah in the next phase. You see the curriculum development is in phases. The first phase is the primary from KG to class 6. The next phase, which will start maybe August or September this year, will be JHS and SHS. And in the JHS and SHS, Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah is going to feature prominently. There, J.B. Dankwa's name will conspicuously mentioned. But J.B. Dankwa played an intellectual role in Ghana's history. And the designers of the curriculum saw the role that J.B. Dankwa played. For instance, about the choice of the name Ghana as a name to replace the Gold Coast on attainment of independence. He did a research. Professor Sekwating, yes, I do agree with you. I'm saying that it's not even granted. It's explicit in our history. Yeah. J.B. Dankwa was very instrumental. Even the name and the role he played on that floor of Parliament that day was important, or the council, the legislative council at the time, was instrumental. And we all need to acknowledge for that, him for that. But I'm asking, same basic one. The teacher is supposed to teach the student who was Ghana's first president, and then subsequently in the demonstration use pictures, etc. We do understand that it will even mean that Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's name will come up. But why would it not be written for basic one, for example, in the curriculum? If you can mention Dr. J.B. Dankwa, and we know that who was Ghana's first president, by all means, the teacher will have no choice if he's using pictures and videos to show the faces or the pictures. So your problem is... I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. I'm saying that if one... Why is Dr. J.B. Dankwa's name in there at class 1 or what? In the class 1 curriculum? Why is Dr. J.B. Dankwa's name is mentioned over there? We look at all... Hello? Yeah, Professor Sekwati, I'm here with you. Yeah. We were looking at all the historical figures, you get me, who emerged at the time. Some of them came before others, and some will be given prominence as we progress. Okay. Will be given prominence as we progress. Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's name will be replaced in the curriculum from JHS up to SHS. Because you can't deny that. Because when you come to after 1947 and then 1949 and then 1951 onwards, it is he who will come into the picture, and the sum of and all the roles that he played. You come to accelerated development plan of education. You come to economic, industrial, everything. It is Osajifo Doctor until 1966 when he was overthrown. It is he who will be playing the whose name will come up and will feature. So in the design of the curriculum, seeing that everybody played an important role, we decided to highlight the role that J.B. Dankwa played, so that the students will also know. Because if you come to the university, we have a course, a program called Intellectual History of Ghana, and in that Intellectual History of Ghana, J.B. Dankwa played an active role. But because we don't study the history at the basic level, nobody knows about it. It's only when you go up there. All right. So it's only when you go up there. So it's about time we let the students know that there was also J.B. Dankwa who also played a role, so that the history becomes balanced. It's not skewed towards one direction, as some people want us to believe. We look at the issue objectively. All right. As I indicated at the beginning, there was no political consideration. And I do understand, Professor Sekwatin, that you are a historian too. Yeah, I'm a historian. All right. I am the head of the department. No, I know, and we've talked to you severally on the show, so don't worry. So we in our judgment, there was no influence from anywhere. You get me? No, nobody is saying you were influenced. I think we have to make that clear. So we all love our history. I'm saying that
based on certain comments that have been passed on from to me on social media by alumni of some institutions trying to be critical of us that we have mentioned David. Personally, let me tell you, let me put it on record. Personally, on Saturday, I went to jog with my wife. We were coming, and the headmistress, who is I know to be a CPP person, they had even contested for parliamentary seat on the ticket of CPP before, on KE constituency. He met me and said, "Shame on you." He mentioned my name and said, "Shame on you. You give prominence to David Ampa and do not mention the name of Kwame Nkrumah. Shame on you." He said, "Oh, but he's a friend anyway." So I try to explain to her and call one of my colleagues, who Professor Yayo, because you would think that whatever I will say, you will not believe it. So I have to call Professor Yayo for Professor Yayo to also talk to her that we did not have any political consideration in the curriculum that we do, and that I even told you, Professor Yayo used to tell me that he used to be a CPP member, so there was even a CPP member on the panel, and he was even the panel lead. So he should talk to her. And he talked to her. So that is why I am saying what I'm saying. That we should all know that whatever you do, it's a human institution. Anything anybody does, there may be one or two mistakes here and there. But that doesn't mean that the person was doing politics or somebody's influencer. We are professionals.
Okay. All right.
So when we sat down and in our judgment, we felt that this is how the thing must be done.
All right.
We know that when we go to the next stage, Osajipo's name will be replaced with the curriculum.
Okay.
And everybody will know. It's just in basic. So I don't think we should make any hula-baloo about this thing and then think that somebody wants to de-emphasize somebody's name and emphasize somebody's name, bring somebody, make somebody popular, make somebody unpopular. That is not our consideration. Whatever role anybody has played in the history of Ghana, we should have to give recognition to that. You get me? History is about facts, but it is only it's about facts and interpretation. And the interpretations are normally influenced by the idiosyncrasies of the person who is interpreting it. But so far as the facts are concerned, the facts are facts. You can't change them. No matter what, you can't change the facts.
Okay.
So, Roland, let everybody know that the facts will forever remain as they are, despite people's ideological inclinations and what have you. And they should not be emotional when they see the history, because the books are there. Already, right. It's not me who wrote the history of Ghana. People preceded me, Europeans wrote about it, and then Ghanaian historians have also written about it.
All right,
American
Professor Osei-Kwarteng.
Yes.
So, based on what you're saying that it was a mission to ensure there's a balancing act.
Not that it was a mission to ensure that there's a balancing act. We were looking at the facts as they are, the facts as the history play out in Ghana's body politics or in the history of Ghana as a nation, and that we want the students to know, or the peoples to know the history as it unfolded. Period. Now, Prof, it's okay. Prof,
the last question. There's I've visited a community called Tumu. Do you know Tumu? Tumu, T-U-M-U.
Yeah, Tumu in Upper West region.
Exactly. It's good that you're a history teacher. Now
I also did geography.
Very well. There are some schools there. They will not be able to get videos or pictures of these presidents, of even Dr. Kwame Nkrumah or Dr. J.B. Dankwa to do the demonstration in the classroom. But your curriculum is stating that these will be the actions of the teachers in the classrooms to demonstrate and teach. How would they do that?
Yeah, thank you very much. In the books that we have, if you take any history book, you get pictures of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, you get pictures of Dr. J.B. Dankwa, even old characters and what have you, they are there. So if you're a teacher and you cannot secure this thing, the ministry is going, from what I'm coming from, I know that it's a comprehensive educational reform. So the implementers, GS, are supposed to provide the schools with the necessary teaching learning material. So as part of it, in the history class, they will provide them with the necessary material. I know that computers in due course will also be provided. And the students and the teachers should be able to assess all these things. The teachers should be able to do all these things and then let the student know that this is the picture of Osaji for the
Professor Osei Kwati.
Yes.
If the ministry, Ghana Education Service, were not able to provide it fully for the implementation of the current one that we have that will be expiring before September, what makes you think that they can't do it for the new curriculum that you have put together?
What makes me think? Let me tell you, let's put the Ghana Education Service aside. Every teacher is supposed to be professional. As I sit over here, when I go to my class, it is go to lecture theater to teach. This day we are in digital age. My teachers used to teach me by coming to stand in front of me with their lecture notes, and then they will be lecturing. I also adopted that I was lecturing. But with the passage of time, I came to realize that, though, that has become old-fashioned. And so I have to adjust to the changing pattern of the world. So I've made provision in my department, ensure that the department, out of what we get, appeals to our alumni and what have you.
But not for the teacher in Tumu. He doesn't even have the resources.
The teacher in Tumu will have to look for books, because if you
where is he going to look them?
The teacher in Tumu who teaches history, if he tells me he doesn't have a Dubois Evolution and Change or F.A. Boas history book, or even the current SHS history book, and that teacher is not well being called a teacher, and he's not supposed to be there. He should even be flashed out of the classroom, because in all the history books you have the pictures of these people there. So it's up to you. You can even ask an artist, the teacher who is an artist, to even draw the picture for you. What you have, you can trace it. You see, teaching is an art. When you are faced with a situation, the teacher should be able to teach in such a way that no matter the location that he is, he should be able to teach for his students to understand and be able to compete nationally and globally. You get me? A teacher should not say that I don't have the resources, therefore I'm folding my art. Then you are not a teacher.
All right.
You get me?
Okay.
Then you are not a teacher.
All right.
That is part of the training, that professional training that you have had. So
Very
as a professional, as you are sitting over there. So if multimedia is not able to provide you with one or two things, and you decide, because multimedia hasn't provided me with this thing, work must not go on. Is that what you want to ask me? Work must go on. You have to improvise. It is also part of the training process. But it is my hope from the interaction that we have had, the meetings that we have had. This is what government is aiming at. And me personally, I will advise the minister that even when it comes to sharing of these resources that we are talking about, it will start from the rural areas instead of the cities, because the cities have benefited for far too long, while the rural dwellers have suffered. So
all right,
the distribution should rather start from the villages and semi-rural areas, semi-urban areas before it comes to the city.
Well, thank you.
We toil and moil, and then the city dwellers benefit.
Thank you very much, Professor Kwame Osei Kwati. I've enjoyed the conversation. Great education there.
You are welcome.
We'll call you again as we continue with the education and get to have more insight into the new curriculum you have developed. And Professor Osei Kwati is the chairman for the National Council for Curricular Assessment. They put together all this that we're discussing this morning. But you also, as our viewers and the public, please make sure that you're also part of the conversation. So we're allowing you to call through the numbers 030-2211-691 or 2. Again, 030-2211-691 or 2. Yeah. Let us know what you think about the new reforms that government is introducing.
We have raised some issues bordering on inclusion.
That is the Ghana National Education Campaign.
The coalition has raised some issues.
Which are bordering on what?
Inclusion, okay? The extent to which the curriculum is inclusive is very, very important. And that mainly borders on how it is implemented. Mainly how it is implemented. For instance, we have the introduction of French at the upper primary level. Prior to this, French was taught at the junior high school level. Mm-hmm. The experience in Ghana is that very few schools have French teachers. And so the teaching of French in the past decades have been more or less concentrated in a few urban and peri-urban areas to the detriment of children in rural Ghana. So we have raised issue that if government intends, or if government has now brought the teaching of French from junior high school level to primary 4, and it means that a government appreciates that early socialization of the children in French will enhance their proficiency. That's great. But to what extent is the Ghana Education Service ensuring that we don't continue along the trajectory where French is only available for a few fortunate children who find themselves in urban and peri-urban areas? And are we going to continue teaching French in only urban and peri-urban areas? As a
coalition, you're worried about it?
We are very worried about it because majority of our children are in the rural areas, and that if we don't have a system where the child in Tumu or the child in Tintimshe can have access to a French teacher and also participate in the teaching, in the learning of French, and demonstrate the mastery they need to demonstrate in French at the primary school to the junior high school level, then of what relevance will be this new curriculum to that child in that part of Ghana?
We told you we've opened the phone lines. It's good that the numbers are also on your screens. So let's get on the lines now. We have Timothy Isahaku. He's calling us from Ijura. Timothy, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And I'm happy you've been following our conversations, but you've also been monitoring on social media and the other relevant media you have around. What's your own thoughts on the current reforms? Timothy, we seem to have lost Timothy there. We'll try and re-establish that line. But again, the phone lines are open. We have two of them, 03022116991 or 2. They are also on the screen, so you'll be in a better position to call us. We have Georgina, and Georgina is calling us from Navrongo. Georgina Bauer is her name. Good morning to you, Georgina. Well, we've lost Georgina as well. We'll re-establish that line in a better way so that you can get through. Again, the numbers are on your screen, 03022116991 or 2. And please make sure that you call us, get through and let us know what you think about our discussions, especially on the subject of history. That will be from Basic 1 to 6, and then also for GHS as well. And what you think about the general new curricula that will be introduced from September. That will be the start of the next academic year. We have Hamza calling us from Winchi. Hamza, good morning to you. Hamza, good morning.
Morning.
Yes, please, your thoughts.
Hi, I'm really enjoying the program. Yeah. Morning.
Hamza, I want you to lower the volume of your set, the TV set, so that you can speak to me directly on the phone. That will help me.
I'm speaking to you directly.
Okay. Please, your thoughts, quickly.
You see, in Ghana here, this is one of the things that's hurting us. Taking a look at the curriculum, everything shows it is specific that it was done based on, political sentiment. Because how can you let primary students learn about J.B. Dankwa, exempting Kwame Nkrumah? Kwame Nkrumah has spearheaded all our independence affairs. For example, you cannot, give someone a knowledge on Christianity and start introducing the person to Paul without Jesus Christ. It's not possible. So everything shows clear. From the basis, they must know about the person who spearheaded the affairs. Before, maybe from primary 1, they're going about, they will start learning about those who complemented him. But starting with J.B. Dankwa, for me, is very, very abysmal. And this is nothing. It's based on blind equivalency. That's it.
Well, thank you very much, Hamza, calling us from Winchi. We have Daniel Amwa calling us from Dumasi, Nyakrom. Good morning to you.
Yeah. Good morning.
Yeah, good. Daniel, please quickly. Yes, please.
Yeah, most of your discussions are very helpful, particularly concerning the educational structure. Now, skewing the history of Ghana towards one side is highly problematic. This is a fact. You can see from the discussion of the one you called, the one who implemented those who are from the professor.
The council, yes. He's the chairman of the council that puts all this together.
The chairman. Very good idea. But bringing only Dr. Dilson into the picture is very problematic. And looking at, you have asked him a question concerning Tumu as well. the smooth problem to what is not resource. Discharge is best. The teacher discharge is best. And bringing the teacher to campus and see those things as the
seem to be having a difficulty with the line, but your point has been made. You seem to think that there's no correlation with the thoughts and the expression from the chairman, but also with the whole concept, and you want it well streamlined. Francis Dijem from Boku. Good morning to you, Francis.
Good morning.
Yes, please.
Roland.
Yes, please. Just raise your voice a bit and let us hear you.
Yes. Good morning, Roland.
Good morning, Francis. I love your voice now.
Oh, okay. Yes, I just want to say that this reform that they are bringing, it doesn't seem to make sense to some of us.
Why?
Yes, because I don't know, how can a mom and a dad, assuming a mom and a dad gives birth to a child, a son, then the son goes out and then the mom will say, your dad is rather your uncle.
And you
It doesn't seem to make sense.
You are saying this in relation to what?
To like, how can JB Danker's name be mentioned when Nkrumah's name is not mentioned?
We have to state, I have gone through the particular curricula that's under focus now. There's no number of times if you have to do the correlation with JB Danker's name made of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. But there are phrases and teaching instructions in there that definitely will bring up Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's name anyway.
Yes, but what we've all learned since childhood is that Kwame Nkrumah has made the country where we are now. He's the one who has put the country where we are now, to his state. And so if you are coming to mention what is J.B. Duncan's name, it looks like it's just political chieftain.
But there's also the argument out there that J.B. Dankwa, prior to independence, was very instrumental in even choosing the name Ghana. He made
we all know that, but who fought for the independence? That is what we are looking at.
All right.
He was a leader.
Well, thank you for your points there, Francis Dijem from Boku. And we have Samuel Dankwa. Samuel Dankwa, where are you calling us from? Samuel? We seem to have lost Samuel. But again, please let us know your thoughts. We have the phone lines on your screens. And let us know what you think about the discussion so far. Samuel, good morning.
Good morning. I'm from Kumasi.
Oh, you're calling from Kizai. Kumasi, yes. Please go ahead, Samuel Dankwa.
Yes, thank you very much. I would like to contribute to your program. There was this guy that called earlier on saying you cannot talk about Jesus Christ. And even in the Bible, we have Old Testament. There are some things that we as students, you must know. You must know. Because how can you talk about Kwame Nkrumah when Kwame Nkrumah came and meet people? Kwame Nkrumah came to meet people there before Kwame Nkrumah started doing all what he did. Okay, so as if we are talking about 1960, then we have 1940s there. So who were there and who was there that time? That made Kwame Nkrumah to even climb higher in the late 60s.
Okay.
So you see, so there are some things that we must all understand.
Samuel, did you learn in your social studies or history lessons that the UGCC, they invited Dr. Kwame Nkrumah from?
Yes.
You learned that.
I know that.
So it cannot be entirely true that there's prior to Dr. Kwame Nkrumah coming, the history was not represented in our textbooks, right?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. Thank you, Samuel Dankwa, for your comments there. Now let's go to Achimota, and we have Joseph Brew. Good morning to you, Mr. Brew.
Yeah, Roland, good morning.
Yeah, Joseph, thank you for calling through. But let's hear from you, your thoughts on all this conversation about the history and also the new curriculum that will be introduced for the next academic year.
Okay, Roland, I'm a teacher myself, and also a partner yesterday in English language education, University of Education. We follow these proceedings, and in fact, some of us are not happy with what is happening in our country.
What are you not happy about?
In fact, even my child at home can boldly say that when you are mentioning the history of Ghana, if you want to say the history of Ghana, with that coming from us, what are you talking about? Right from the instance, that child must be inculcated with that knowledge. Why are you bringing that man's name? In fact, we remember a time ago, Kennedy mentioned that you call yourself a professor. So if a poor professor is bringing these four things on board, what is the person trying to say? Bring instrument name first. Let the child familiarize with instrument name before they do that with them. Well, that is exactly what Ghanaians are looking for. In fact, we all voted for that man, and the way things are happening in this country, but it is going wayward. That is exactly what I want to say. Thank you very much.
No, it's good that you're a teacher, so let's get your view on this. There's always the mode of instruction. If Dr. J.B. Dankwa's name is mentioned, but there's also, even though the name of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah is not mentioned, but there's a demonstrative line there that who was Ghana's first president? At least by inference, it is Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, even though his name has not been mentioned.
Roland, in fact, teaching follows processes. Is that not it?
It does, please. And the curriculum is your guide, how you have to instruct. Yes.
It follows processes. So if you don't go chronologically, you are not teaching the child the way he must be creative in a way. That is why in the syllabus, you see that such topics must come first. You have to rearrange your topics so that you teach the child from known to unknown. Now, I remember somebody said that if you are speaking about Christianity, you don't mention Christ's name or Jesus' name, and you mention Paul's name. What is it? The concept of Jesus Christ must come first before other names follow.
Why? Why is that? Why not?
What's the bedrock of Christianity? So how can you teach Christianity without believing Christ's name first?
Wow. Okay. Thank you for.
Name doesn't come first. In fact, we have started everything. So the professor and the team must go back to the drawing board and rearrange things. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. And Joseph Brew is from Akimodo, calling us from Akimodo. He's a teacher there, so as a practitioner, he knows what happens in the classroom. But Kofi Osei, you're still here. Ultimately, Kofi Osei, yeah. So we know that the conversation would then drill down to how implementable, how realistic also the contents are. Yeah. And of course, we'll have some of these side arguments about which posture of the politics and the political divide it should go. Yeah. But it looks like it seems to be taking away the crust of all the issues we're talking about.
Exactly. You know, well, it is important to discuss the contents. It is important to discuss the content and the context. But it is also important to note that the curriculum is just another policy which is supposed to see the light of day. A good curriculum is as good as how it is implemented, and that is our greatest source of worry. We are not worried per se, but concerned. We are concerned about the way the curriculum prescribes a more participatory, child-centered approach to teaching, vis-a-vis the current class sizes we have in our classrooms. Because a teacher cannot efficiently manage a class of more than 40 and use child-centered participatory pedagogy to teach. It is not possible. But we have a situation where most of our classes are as big as 60. And so the Ghana Education Service will have to work together with the Ministry of Education and the District Assembly to ensure that class sizes are reduced. We need to build more classrooms and engage more teachers in the schools so that we are able to reduce the class sizes. If teachers have large class sizes to deal with, as we currently have in many schools, in urban and also in rural areas, if that pertains, no matter how good the curriculum is, the teacher may be compelled to use the chalk talk method that has been existing for all this while, where there is very little space or room for any participatory exercise because of the size of the class. And so ensuring that class sizes are reduced to efficient levels to facilitate the use of child-centered participatory pedagogy, and also ensuring that teachers, especially French teachers, are available to schools in rural areas and also urban areas to ensure that the inequality between children in urban and rural areas is not deepened but rather bridged. are two key important things that the coalition is worried about. And we have raised the issues with government, and we hope that the Ministry of Education and Engineers will see reason in this and then move quickly to ensure that these are put in place.
If it hasn't been done in the last 10 years, what makes you optimistic that it will be done in the next 10 years?
Well, it wasn't done in the last 10 years because we have a problem in Ghana. The problem is that people in the rural areas normally don't have the voice. And so when we speak for them, people think that we are being populist. There was a huge debate in the coalition about whether we should advise government to progress with this culture of teaching French in only a few schools, or wait until every child in about 15,000 basic schools has a French teacher before we continue. And then those who believe that, look, let's start from somewhere, but then let's have a plan that assures all of us, especially I'm talking about the parents of these pupils who are in these rural areas, assures them that there's a plan to ensure that all the schools will have teachers. And so let's start from here, but we'll get there. And so I think that all in all, as I mentioned, a good curriculum is as good as the way it is implemented. And so let's focus more energy in discussing the eventual rollout of this curriculum in September and ensure that the right things are done so that we can enjoy the full benefits of the revised curriculum.
Thank you. Kofi Asare is the chairman, the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition. Well, let's move on. And we told you, we're bringing to you that at least we know that 600 applicants have been shortlisted countrywide for the semi-finals of the maiden edition of the Magdan Entrepreneurship Challenge. We're discussing all that next. Stay with us.